Hello, I'm Blaine Hartman,
And I'm Dominic Walker.
and this is the effects of TABOR legislation on local municipalities. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Here's a quick history of TABOR in Colorado. It passed in 1992, is spearheaded by a real estate investor named Douglas Bruce, and it passed with a 53% majority. It has been in effect ever since, limiting revenue spending in municipalities and the overall state of Colorado. Hundreds of municipal ballot questions have been approved since 1992, allowing retention of excess revenue. We interviewed 4 town leaders in towns that have approved ballot initiatives: Kathy Noon in Centennial, Carrie Kennedy in Denver, Matt LeCurf in Frederick, and Patrick Rodinelli in Uray.
One of the provisions of TABOR dictates that all revenue in excess of the revenue cap must be redistributed back to the citizens. Municipalities wishing to retain more revenue than allowed for by the TABOR revenue cap may pass a number of different types of ballot initiatives, but they generally fall under the category of either revenue retention measures or tax increases. Revenue retention measures, often called debrucing measures, allow municipalities to keep and spend revenue collected in excess of the TABOR revenue cap. This is common because it does not involve a tax increase, and over 90% of the revenue retention measures that have been proposed have been passed. The other way a city can increase its revenue is through tax increases. However, tax increases have only passed 57.1% of the time that they are proposed. Ballot initiatives require a majority of votes to pass in Colorado. A common misunderstanding of debrucing and other forms of TABOR-related ballot initiatives are that they allow a municipality to completely opt out of TABOR. In reality, municipalities have no such option, as TABOR is an amendment to the Colorado State Constitution, and the state constitution has supremacy over local laws.
The effect of TABOR on local communities. By far, the largest effect of TABOR is that it makes it difficult for municipal governments to provide basic services to their citizens. This can include the construction and maintenance of infrastructure, funding for public parks and open space, which are often the first areas to lose funding, can make it difficult to pay city employees' salaries. You may have to make cutbacks on the number of municipal employees. Public safety could potentially be a risk. Matt LeCurf from Frederick told us that if they are unable to replace a police vehicle due to TABOR restrictions, then they're putting the entire populace at risk. In Uray, property valuations were decreasing and personal incomes were not increasing. Patrick Rodinelli believes it was an unintended side effect of TABOR restrictions. Another effect is the ratchet down effect. The city collects less revenue than is allowed by the TABOR revenue cap in the next year, and for all consecutive years, the revenue cap ratchets down to the amount that was collected. This makes it difficult for municipalities because without a ballot initiative to allow the municipality to retain more revenue, the city will be spending as if it is in a recession all of the time.
All 4 of the municipalities from which we interviewed officials have passed debrucing measures, and they all use the increased funds for a variety of purposes. Kathy Noon from the city of Centennial said that since her city is relatively new, they use the revenue to reinvent the city and its infrastructure. Patrick Rodinelli from Uray said that the debrucing measure they passed in 2014 was used for a variety of purposes. They used the increased revenue to fund day-to-day operations that were cut back as a result of TABOR restrictions, town maintenance and repairs, improvement to the park system, as well as to build back the town reserves that were depleted during the recession and reduce the town's debt. Carrie Kennedy from Denver said that they were able to use the increased revenue to restore city services such as libraries and parks, fund the repaving of roads, and fund a new program called the My Denver Card that allows kids free access to city recreation centers and pools. Matt LeCurf from Frederick said that his town was able to fund capital improvement and infrastructure.
The effects of successful TABOR revenue change initiatives. A large effect is the ability to deal with interannual variability. Municipal governments can maintain excess budget from good years for times of recession, and there's no ratchet down effect after years of low economic growth. The ability for government to provide both basic and novel services to its citizens is another effect of successful TABOR revenue change initiatives. An example of a basic service would be repairing and improving infrastructure and funding for public parks. An example of a novel service would be the funding of the My Denver Card. Also, government can begin to build back financial reserves for times of recession. In addition, citizens have more knowledge of what their tax dollars are being used on. This is typically thought to result in more trust of the local government.
There are several key differences between TABOR-related ballot initiatives that are successful and those that are not successful. As mentioned earlier, voter-approved revenue changes without a tax rate increase have been the most successful form of TABOR-related ballot initiatives, passing more than 90% of the time. Municipalities that wish to keep more revenue should consider using a debrucing measure rather than a tax increase for the best chance of success. Additionally, municipalities should consider attempting to pass a ballot initiative as an ordinance rather than as a resolution. The main difference between ordinances and resolutions is that resolutions tend to be more temporary, whereas an ordinance is in effect unless it is repealed. This choice may not affect the ability of the initiative to pass, but it is more practical and used for ordinances to be passed as opposed to resolutions. The wording and content of the revenue change proposal is also important. The wording of the ballot should make very clear that the intention of the proposition is to authorize a voter-approved revenue change and to reassure voters that taxes will not be raised without voter approval. It is also important to note when the proposal goes into effect and if there is a time limit to when it is effective.
Two factors that affect the success of ballot initiatives are earmarks and property taxes. Earmarks may make a ballot initiative easier to pass, but can also give the local government less freedom on spending. Some cities have approved ballot initiatives with no earmarking, while other cities have approved ballot initiatives with very specific earmarks about the improvements. The local government must weigh the benefits and costs when it comes to earmarking. Property taxes are a very sensitive subject to many citizens, and we recommend that when writing a ballot initiative question, property taxes are avoided, as they are less likely to be successful.
There are several other societal and political factors that play into whether or not a bill will be successful. One of the most important societal factors is trust in the municipal government. City officials Kathy Noon and Patrick Rondinelli both pointed out that one of the reasons their city's proposals were able to pass is a high level of trust and credibility of elected officials. Education on the nature of the proposals also seems to be a particularly important factor. Patrick Rondinelli noted that one of the reasons the city of Ouray was successful in passing a debrucing measure in 2014, but was not in 2006, is because the electorate was more informed. A high level of citizen engagement is also key to having a higher probability of success in passing the proposals. In Frederick and Centennial, the city officials both said that the high level of engagement and voter turnout played a big role in helping to pass their debrucing measures. Kerry Kennedy of Denver also noted that as a result of the education and higher level of citizen engagement, voters are more aware that their ability to vote on taxes is not infringed, which allows the electorate to place more trust in city officials. We hope that the information in this presentation will help municipalities to better understand the restrictions that have been set forth by TABOR and the actions that a city can take to overcome those restrictions. Thank you for watching.